Hello, welcome to GP Podcast.
What if the next big leap forward isn't happening behind closed doors? You know, we've all gotten used to AI breakthroughs coming from just a handful of big, familiar names. But something is changing. A new wave of open-source models is rising up to challenge that whole idea, and honestly, the results are pretty shocking.
And right now, some of the most serious, game-changing updates are coming from China. Look, they're not just tweaking things here and there. They are fundamentally rethinking how AI should work. They're going right after the biggest pain points, the things that have been driving developers and creators crazy for years. All right, let's get into it.
So first up, we've got GLM 4.7. Now, this is not just another chatbot that's designed to sound smart for a few sentences. No, this thing is built from the ground up for what we call agentic workflows. Think long, complicated tasks where an AI has to plan, execute its plan, and stay on track over many, many steps.
And that right there is the key. This is where most models, even the really powerful ones, just fall apart. It's not that they can't write a single line of code, it's that over a long task, they start to forget what they were doing. They contradict their own work, and the whole project just slowly unravels into a complete mess.
So how do we know this one's any different? Well, the numbers kind of speak for themselves. On SWEBench, which is a really tough test of a model's ability to fix bugs in real-world code, it scores a 73.8%. For an open model, that is a huge, huge milestone. It proves it can actually follow a complex task from start to finish.
And check this out, the next jump is just as big. On Terminal Bench, which is basically a brutal stress test for an agent's stability in a command line environment, it jumps to 41%. Now, this isn't just about knowing commands, it's about putting them in the right order, understanding the results, and then deciding what to do next. It shows a much, much smarter internal planning system.
Now, the really cool part is how they're doing this. The secret sauce appears to be this feature they're calling preserved thinking. So instead of having to figure out its plan from scratch every single time you give it a new instruction, the model actually carries its reasoning forward. This cuts down massively on that instability we were talking about. It's kind of like giving the AI a proper long-term memory.
Okay, so let's switch gears to the second major update, because it builds on the same idea of giving us more control. This one's called Manus, and it tackles a totally different, but, let's be honest, an equally frustrating problem: the absolute lottery of trying to generate images with AI.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. You generate an image, it's almost perfect, but one little thing is wrong. A weird hand, a floating object. Your only real option is to generate the entire thing and just pray you get something good, losing all the parts you actually liked. Man just completely flips that on its head. You generate, you see a flaw, you just select it with a tool, and you edit only that one little piece.
And this simple change, it might seem small, but it's a huge deal. It takes AI image generation away from feeling like you're playing a slot machine and turns it into a real, legitimate design tool. Finally, the control is back in your hands, the creator's hands, letting you actually refine your work instead of just rolling the dice over and over again.
The whole workflow is just so intuitive. You generate your base image, you highlight the exact area you want to change, you apply your edit, and here's the magic part. The system works to keep the rest of the image consistent. The lighting, the art style, the textures, it all stays the same. So it doesn't look like a sloppy patch job, it looks seamless.
And they're extending this idea of turning generation into a real design tool beyond just pretty pictures. Manus is also solving another one of those last-mile headaches with presentations. You know how AI-generated slides used to just be static images? If you spotted a typo, you were out of luck. You had to remake the whole thing. Well, now, these slides are fully editable. Every element, the text, the visuals, can be changed, and you can even run edits across your entire deck at once.
So, what's the connection between a powerful coding agent and a smart image editor? Well, it's really about a deeper philosophical shift. Both GLM 4.7 and Manus are delivering on two things that have been desperately missing from so many AI tools: stability and control.
What we're witnessing here is the start of a new era for OpenAI. We're getting models that are stable enough to finish what they start. We're getting tools that give us precise control, turning a game of chance into an act of creation. And maybe most importantly, because these are open, they're often way more affordable, which completely changes the game for who can run these powerful AI workflows at scale.
When you put all of this together, it points to one single, undeniable conclusion: that performance gap, the one that used to be a chasm between the big, closed, proprietary models and the open source world, well, that gap is closing, and it's closing a lot faster than anyone really predicted. The competition is getting real. Which leaves us all with a pretty fascinating question to think about, right? As these powerful, controllable, and much more accessible open models keep getting better and better, who do you think is going to be the one to write the next chapter in the story of artificial intelligence? Let me know what you think down in the comments. And if you liked the video, subscribe, leave a like, comment on what you liked most, and share the video.